I would like to get your thoughts on Hinduism and Buddhism and detachment and suffering.
Let's talk about why do we suffer. If we really think God created us, He loves us, He is taking care of us, He's protecting us, He's doing all of that, then why are we suffering? All religions have an answer for that. Whether it's Hinduism, Buddhism, even Islam has an answer to that. The answer is, it has to do with how we develop attachments, identities to ourselves. As far as God is concerned, we are an eternal consciousness, taken a human body to do something specific to humanity, to God, to the whole universe. That is why we took the human form and we are born as humans. Because human being is the only species that has the capacity to do this. Animals are not going to make a difference to the universe or the humanity. It's not. In other words, we are talking about some deliberate actions for a paradigm shift, something that will change the course of how humanity and the universe benefits by our actions. That amount of power, only human beings have that. But what are we doing? We are operating like the human beings who have the consciousness, not as consciousness who has this human capacity. Two different things. When we look at ourselves as human beings who happen to have this consciousness, that is one thing. But the reality is, we are conscious embodiment who has actually taken the human form for a very specific purpose in our life. Two different things. Isn't it?
Yes.
So, as human beings who happen to have this conscious power, we as human beings, what we see around us is there are constant changes going on.
Right.
And what we persevere is to kind of introduce things, introduce ideas, introduce systems that will hold on to what we have, that will establish certain amount of permanency. We think this permanency is going to be our legacy. So what do we go about doing it? We go about creating a lot of I ams. I am intelligent, acquire degrees that makes us intelligent.
Right.
I am rich, so go ahead, acquire money. So I am rich. Go ahead, have children. Maybe that's the way to establish certain legacies in our life. Even though children coming through procreation and a whole different process, we want to develop our children to establish certain permanency in our lives. We want to vicariously live through them so that permanency continues through them. The permanency continues through our grandchildren. So we are always on a quest to create something that will remain unchanged. All of these things that becomes I am. All of these I ams are illusions. You see, they're illusions. They are not consciousness. See, we as consciousness who happen to have the body is not interested in any of these. Do you see that?
Yes.
We are not investing so much on relationships. Even relationships, it's not something we attach ourselves to. You see? But what do? As human body who happen to have that consciousness, we want to have relationship that we can cling on to. we can hold on to, that would remain loyal to us, that would remain faithful to us, that will complement my ego, that will complement my interests. So we are looking for something completely different. Whereas consciousness as in human body, the relationship is something completely different. Yes, we want to have relationship, but that relationship is to empower the beloved. Not to control and overwhelm the beloved, but to empower. So that our relationships will become an empowered relationships in conscious awareness. You see? Not as a controlled relationship that creates certain loyalty, certain fidelity, certain that, certain this, certain that, so that there is certain harmony remains in our relationship. Again, we boil down to something we want to have permanent, which is the harmony. So, our quest as a human body, who happens to have all of those things, is really creating permanency. Create things that is going to last as long as we live, at least. All of these are illusions. All of these had a beginning, therefore all of them will have an end.
These legacies.
All of them. Anything that has a beginning has an end. The only thing in us that does not have a beginning, therefore will not have an end, is our consciousness. See, so here we are trying to limit ourselves while we are being so unlimited. We as unlimited human beings are striving to have a limited life. Now if you think right through it, you can see why we have all the conflicts and chaos and sufferings in our lives. Because we are unlimited beings trying so hard to live a limited life. Does it make sense?
Do you believe that God created us to be unlimited beings?
Absolutely. See, but the unlimited being is not a function of our body. Unfortunately, we have a very, very mindful culture in the Western society. And we have a mindful people evolved as very mindful in everything we do. Our education system is very mindful. Our social systems is very mindful. Our culture is very mindful. Every system we create is very mindful. The philosophies and theologies in the West are very mindful. Very ordered, very structured, very organized, very rigid. In this mindfulness, we also try to limit something that is so phenomenal, so infinite, so vast, such as love. And we want to limit it. So what is filial love? Okay, that's one thing. What is erotic love? That's another thing. What is agape love? We want to define all of these things and even limit love within our mindfulness. But travesty is this. See, even God, that's the way, we want to understand God. Theology, limit God to our mindfulness so we can understand God with our limitations.
Right.
So we really are a mindful society operating as very, very limited people. Now you know why we are suffering.
Because of this dichotomy.
Exactly. Exactly. Because of this dichotomy is why the suffering is. That is what Buddhism teaches us. That is what Hinduism teaches us. See, that's what Christianity also teaches us. In fact, even Islam teaches us the same thing. When we live a life as limited beings, wanting to have a limited life, we are going to have the problem because we are unlimited beings forced to live a limited life.
Can you give me an example of that?
Why do we have conflicts among nations? Historically, we had war through and through forever. Even in biblical times,
Right.
we were killing each other. Overwhelming, overpowering. In modern society, in philosophy and all of that, all Machiavellian way of thinking in governments, in businesses, and in homes and in societies, and trying to control people, trying to overwhelm people, and inflicting certain amount of fear to regulate systems. It's quite common. Look at our law enforcement. What is it? You see, the law is not to kind of bring harmony. The law is to create a deterrence. Now, deterrence based on what? Fear of punishment. What is the problem between NATO and Russia? NATO is going to overwhelm us unless we do something about it. What is it that something is? Very Machiavellian. Strike first. Isn't it?
Right.
See? And we have that through and through. We have actually created systems, created governments, and created militaries, created businesses based on Machiavellian theories. Fear. How do we regulate fear? How do we leverage fear? I mean, look at our religion. Look at our religion. What is it based on? Fear of the unknown.
Overcoming fear.
Yeah. You know, fear of the unknown, fear of our death, fear of sin, fear of that, fear of this, fear of that. Fear of a punishing God. You see, that's what our religion is based on. In fact, all religions are based on fear of a punishing God. That's why we were able to build institutions out of something, out of a phenomenon. And that institution is not based on how loving God is. It is based on how you need to fear God. Because He is going to punish you. He's going to get you. The sins in your past life, you're still going to have to pay for it. God is not going to leave you alone.
Is that Hinduism? Or
That is
Buddhism?
Hinduism, that's Buddhism, that's everything. Even Christianity is not an exception to that. Obviously, we don't talk about past lives, but we have enough to pick on present life itself.
Yeah.
But we believe in a forgiving God. We believe in a loving God. But that fear of God is still exists. That controls the religion. That is the religious system is based on that. Not on the loving God. Not on the benevolent God. Not on the forgiving God. But on a punishing God. You see that?
Yes.
The people in vast numbers are leaving the churches nowadays because, as you said, they see the dichotomy of how these religions are institutionalized. People are becoming more thoughtful. The more they become thoughtful, the more they see these things, and the more they are leaving. See, it is not, the scandals are causing them to leave. No. I'm yet to come across somebody who, once faithful to a religion, is no longer subscribed into it because they don't believe in God. I am yet to come across one person like that.
Yeah.
They don't believe in the institutionalized religions. That's why they are leaving. Anyway, we started with sufferings and we have gone into all of these. But going back to sufferings, what Hinduism teaches us is seek mukti. Mukti means fulfillment of everything. Whereas Buddhism talks about nirvana, meaning abandon everything, be naked. See, have no attachment. Don't think of, hold on to your illusions. Just shred everything and remain naked. Okay? Nirvana in literal translation means nakedness. Okay? Remain absolutely naked.
Would you say that is closer to the truth?
Being naked is closer to the truth? We need to understand what nakedness means. It actually is a state of being. It's a state of being in which you're not holding on to anything. You have no inhibitions, you have no fear, you have nothing close to yourself. This is nothing. As you were just born, as you were just dead. Whether you are naked or not makes no difference to you. Now, we as adults, as informed adults and all of that, feeling naked, it is not the same as when you are a child or when you're just dead. See, when you're a child and when you're dead and all of that, whether you are naked or clothed makes no difference whatsoever.
True. That's very true.
See, now, for us as adults, being naked means something.
My granddaughters would attest to that.
Yeah.
After their bath, they love to be naked.
Yeah.
And dance.
Yeah. See, that's what it is. It's a sort of a, it's a state of being. It is not the sort of a mindful condition. Yeah. It's a state of being. Okay, so that's what really nakedness means. Okay, in that nakedness, are you closer to the truth? Absolutely you are. Absolutely you are.
No legacies.
Nothing. It's nothing, literally nothing. See, in that nothing, Buddhism says, you attain mukti. Mukti means everything, all the blessings in the world. You see, when you are an absolute realized human, you will come to realize that mukti is, you already have it. Okay, you just reached back, rekindle what you already had. You see, whereas in Hinduism, it's a state you attain. But in Christianity, it goes many steps further. And you know what God says?
No.
Seek me first. Everything will come to you. So what does seeking me first means?
It means loving God first.
In a sort of a literal sense, in a material order, that's exactly what it means. But what is me? What is I am? It's absolute nothingness. It's formlessness, nothingness, complete vastness. But gosh, it's an incredible superconsciousness. That's what that is. That's what I always describe as supreme consciousness. And when you seek that supreme consciousness, Everything comes to you. You don't even have to ask for mukti. Everything comes to you. All the knowledge in the universe is yours. But there is a difference, incredible difference to such wisdom. What is being, now that you have come to that realization, what you have acquired. Not what you acquired, what you have rekindled within you. It's not knowledge. See, knowledge is something, it's an order, it's a system, it's a perceptive intelligence that you acquired in an ordered way. That is knowledge. See, knowing is something, it doesn't have an order, it doesn't have a system, it has nothing. Do you understand?
Yes.
See, for instance, when I came into the awareness of quantum physics and cosmology and all of that, I didn't even know what that awareness meant to me. But the awareness was there. I didn't even know what it was. I saw the elements connecting. I saw the whole synchronicity experience, of quantum physics very clearly. But is there a theoretical information about it? I didn't know. I was clueless. Then I was led to do some references so that I can make a logical case of it. So when I started reading about theoretical physics and all of that, for me it's like reading a children's book, because that awareness was already there.
Yeah.
And when I was reading it, I would read some theories and I could even discern what's wrong with the theory. The full awareness is there. But if you ask me to go and stand in front of graduate students and give them a lecture about quantum physics, am I comfortable enough to do that? No. I don't even think I have the logical knowledge to do that. But if in a contextual situation, if a bunch of graduate students come and ask me what it is, and if I'm meant to explain a certain philosophy based on that knowledge, I will have that intelligence, which I'm sure. So there is a knowledge and there is a knowing. So what you acquire when you attain or when you rekindle your own strength, own conscious awareness, and the wisdom thereby, it's not knowledge, it's all knowing.
Yeah, I see that.
You see that? Some people will be great musicians who will come into the awareness how good they are. When the founding fathers of the United States, when they envisioned, when they had the synchronicity experience of democracy, and then they brought their intelligence together to write it down, see, it has been a very strong foundation of this country for hundreds of years now. Nobody could shake it. Look at the legacy of it. Look at the longevity of it. Look at even how fresh it is even now. If people shake it, challenge it, that and this, it's not that they have not tried it before. They have. But were they able to do it? No. Take a look at Martin Luther King and the speech he gave. Look at John F. Kennedy. Ask not what the country can do for you, ask what you can do for this country. And look at that synchronicity experience he was having when he delivered that speech. And look at this synchronicity experience Martin Luther King Jr. was having when he delivered that speech. You see, these are legacies that last forever, that create such an impact in our community. It remains forever. But all of these are synchronicity experiences not create chaos and destruction, but to bring in harmony and order, a different kind of a perspective in our lives, to create a different natural order. See, that is the power of synchronicity. That's the power of observation. That is the power of responding to an observation, it's like. See, these people did not care about what is in it for me. Isn't it?
That's right.
As human bodies, having a conscious experience, would have thought about what is in it for me. As conscious people, having a human body experience, would not. That's the difference. See, the people who are conscious people having a human body experience, they create things that are different. Whereas human bodies having a conscious experience, they do things very differently. Complete dichotomy. But God created us to be conscious beings having a human body experience. That's the basis of all our sufferings. Let's talk about why do we suffer. If we really think God created us, He loves us, He is taking care of us, He's protecting us, He's doing all of that, then why are we suffering? As far as God is concerned, we are an eternal consciousness, taken a human body to do something specific to humanity, to God, to the whole universe. That is why we took the human form and we are born as humans. Because human being is the only species that has the capacity to do this. Animals are not going to make a difference to the universe or the humanity. It's not. In other words, we are talking about some deliberate actions for a paradigm shift. Something that will change the course of how humanity and the universe benefits by our actions. That amount of power, only human beings have that. But what are we doing? We are